Welcome to Stories That Stay, where William reflects on the lives of remarkable individuals whose memory continues to resonate through time. This channel honors cherished figures from film, music, television, and culture by sharing the moments, achievements, and emotions they left behind. Through every tribute, their story remains alive, meaningful, and forever remembered by those they inspired. Bobby Sherman rose to fame in the late 1960s as a teen idol, winning over audiences with his music, charm, and easygoing on-screen presence. Born on July 22, 1943, he became a familiar face in pop culture, especially through television roles such as Here Come the Brides, where his natural charisma and youthful energy made him especially popular with younger fans. Alongside his acting success, his music career also helped define him as one of the most recognizable entertainment figures of that era, with a series of catchy songs that added to his widespread appeal. What makes Sherman's story especially notable is the direction his life took after stepping away from the spotlight. Rather than continuing solely in entertainment, he chose a completely different path focused on public service. He trained as a paramedic and went on to become a licensed emergency medical technician, dedicating himself to helping people in urgent and often high-pressure situations. This shift reflected a grounded and practical sense of purpose as he focused on work that directly impacted his community. Even after leaving fame behind, he remained a figure of respect for many fans who admired not only his early career but also his decision to live a quieter, service-oriented life. His journey shows a rare kind of reinvention, moving from public recognition to meaningful everyday contribution. Bobby Sherman's life is often remembered as an example of how identity can evolve over time and how fulfillment can be found in entirely different forms of work beyond fame. There is something immediately recognizable about Isaiah Whitlock Jr.'s on-screen presence. Measured, calm, and delivered with a quiet authority that makes even simple dialogue feel weighty. Born on October 13, 1954, he built a long and steady career based not on loud performances but on control, timing, and a distinctive voice that audiences instantly remember. Many viewers know him best as Senator Clay Davis from The Wire, a role that became iconic for both its sharp writing and Whitlock's unmistakable delivery, especially the way he stretched and emphasized certain lines in a way that turned them into cultural reference points. Over the years, his career has extended well beyond that single character, showing a wide range across genres and formats. In Veep, he leaned into political satire with precision and subtle humor, while in Your Honor, he brought a more serious, grounded energy to courtroom drama. He has also had a long creative association with director Spike Lee, appearing in several of Lee's films and contributing memorable supporting performances that added depth to ensemble casts. Off-screen, he is often described as grounded and professional, someone deeply committed to the craft of acting rather than the spotlight itself. His continued work in film and television reflects both longevity and consistency, and his performances remain widely appreciated for their restraint, rhythm, and authenticity across decades of storytelling. Catherine Apanowicz, born June 3, 1960, built a steady and varied career across British screen and radio, becoming known for her quiet professionalism and approachable on-screen presence. Catherine Apanowicz first appeared on screen as a child in the film Bugsy Malone, an early experience that introduced her to the world of performance and set the tone for a lifelong connection with media. She later became familiar to television audiences through her role as Nurse Rose Butchins in the drama series Angels, where her performances were appreciated for their warmth and natural style. She also appeared in EastEnders between 1987 and 1988, playing Magda Tchaikovsky, adding another recognizable role to her acting work. Alongside her television career, she developed a strong presence in broadcasting through her work with BBC Radio Leeds, where her voice and personality helped her connect closely with listeners in a more personal and conversational format. Her career reflected a balance between acting and radio, showing her versatility across different forms of media. She was also closely associated in public life with broadcaster Richard Whiteley, and together they were often remembered for their warmth and familiarity to audiences. She passed away at the age of 64, leaving behind a legacy defined by consistent, understated work and a genuine connection with the people who followed her career across television and radio. Beloved by British television audiences, Prunella Scales was born on June 22, 1932, and built a long, steady career that left a lasting impression on generations of viewers through television, film, and theater. Known for her natural warmth, precise timing, and understated style, she became a familiar on-screen presence who often connected with audiences through quiet authenticity rather than showiness. Many viewers remember her most vividly for her role in Fawlty Towers, where she brought both humor and emotional grounding to one of British television's most enduring comedies. Her ability to balance comedic rhythm with subtle human detail helped make her performances feel believable and enduring, allowing characters to resonate long after the episodes aired. Beyond that iconic role, her career spanned decades of consistent work across stage and screen, where she was respected for her professionalism, preparation, and collaborative spirit. She did not rely on spectacle, instead building a reputation for reliability and depth in every project she joined. In later years, she stepped back from public appearances, but her work continued to find new audiences through reruns and rediscovery. Prunella Scales passed away at the age of 93 after a long life and career, leaving behind a body of work that continues to be revisited and appreciated. Her legacy remains present in the continued affection audiences hold for her performances, which still feel familiar, grounded, and human across time. Robert Miller, the former FBI director, has died at the age of 81, marking the end of a long public life shaped by law enforcement, military service, and national security work. He led the Federal Bureau of Investigation from 2001 to 2013, a period that included major changes in U.S. security policy following the September 11 attacks and evolving global terrorism threats. During his tenure, he was often associated with efforts to modernize the agency and expand its investigative reach in a rapidly changing world. After leaving the Bureau, he returned to public attention when he was appointed special counsel at the Department of Justice to investigate alleged Russian interference in the 2016 presidential election, a role that placed him at the center of intense political debate and public scrutiny. Earlier in his life, he served as a U.S. Marine Corps officer during the Vietnam War, where he was recognized for bravery in combat and received both the Purple Heart and the Bronze Star. Across these different phases of his career, Mueller was often viewed as a steady institutional figure moving between military service, federal investigation, and legal oversight. His life is remembered as one deeply tied to public institutions and major moments in recent American history, leaving behind a complex and closely examined legacy. Serena Williams is widely regarded as one of the most dominant athletes in modern sports history, a figure whose career reshaped women's tennis and redefined expectations of physical and mental excellence. Serena Williams built a legacy that extends far beyond her 23 Grand Slam singles titles, becoming a symbol of power, resilience, and endurance in a sport that demands relentless precision. Yet behind the public image of invincibility exists a layered reality shaped by pressure, sacrifice, and emotional complexity. Her journey is not only about victories on court, but also about navigating the burden of expectation that came with extraordinary success. Each triumph added to her legend, but also intensified the demand to remain unbeatable, composed, and unshakable at all times. The world saw dominance, but rarely paused to consider the human cost behind it. Serena's career became a mirror reflecting both brilliance and struggle, and where greatness and vulnerability coexisted in tension. This story explores not only her achievements, but also the unseen emotional landscape that accompanied them, revealing how an icon of strength was also shaped by endurance through pain, scrutiny, and relentless pressure to perform beyond normal limits while carrying the weight of history, identity, and expectation here. Roots in Compton's reality. Serena Williams grew up in Compton, California, an environment marked by economic struggle, social instability, and constant awareness of survival. The neighborhood shaped her earliest understanding of the world, where safety was not guaranteed and discipline became a form of protection. In such surroundings, childhood innocence often gave way to vigilance, and Serena learned early to observe carefully, move cautiously, and adapt quickly. Tennis entered her life not as a recreational activity, but as a potential escape from a cycle of limitation. The cracked public courts, the noise of distant sirens, and the uncertainty of daily life formed the backdrop of her early training. Yet within that environment, she developed focus and resilience that would later define her career. Every practice session carried a sense of urgency, as if each swing of the racket was tied to a larger destiny. The support of her family provided structure, but also expectation, reinforcing the idea that tennis was not just a sport, but a pathway out of hardship. This combination of pressure and opportunity created the foundation for a mindset built on endurance, discipline, and an unwillingness to surrender. This environment shaped her future completely in ways she never escaped fully determined. Discipline forged by vision central to Serena Williams' development was the guiding presence of her father, Richard Williams, whose strict vision and disciplined approach shaped the trajectory of her career. He believed that success required more than talent. It demanded structure, sacrifice, and an unyielding commitment to purpose. His approach to coaching was unconventional, blending protection with intense expectation and positioning his daughters for a future far beyond their immediate environment. For Serena, this meant growing up within a system where every action had meaning and every practice carried long-term significance. Discipline was not optional but foundational, and emotional expression was often secondary to performance. While his methods created tension, they also built resilience, teaching Serena how to persist through discomfort and pressure. Richard's influence extended beyond tennis technique, shaping mindset, identity, and ambition. He instilled a belief that the world would not easily accept their success, and therefore preparation had to exceed normal standards. This environment forged a competitor capable of enduring extraordinary demands while maintaining focus on long-term goals, even when the emotional cost was high and personal comfort had to be sacrificed for achievement. His influence remained a defining force in her discipline, mindset, and long-term competitive resilience development journey. Early years of sacrifice and focus. Serena Williams' early training years were defined by repetition, discipline, and a level of intensity uncommon for children her age. Each practice session demanded focus far beyond casual participation, as tennis became the central structure of her daily life. Training on worn public courts exposed her to conditions that required adaptability and mental toughness, reinforcing the idea that success would not come easily. Mistakes were treated as lessons with immediate consequences, shaping her ability to correct errors quickly and persist under pressure. The expectation placed upon her created a mindset where rest and hesitation were limited and consistency became essential. Physical fatigue was often overshadowed by the necessity to continue building endurance that would later define her professional career. In this environment, emotional expression was secondary to discipline, and resilience was developed through repetition rather than comfort. The sacrifices made during these formative years were significant, as normal childhood experiences were often replaced by structured routines centered on improvement. This foundation cultivated focus and determination that allowed her to enter professional tennis with a hardened identity and understanding that achievement required continuous effort without ease today. Bond and rivalry with Venus, one of the most defining emotional dimensions of Serena Williams' career, was her relationship with her sister, Venus Williams. Venus was not only her sibling, but also her earliest inspiration and later her most complex rival. From childhood, Venus stood as the first figure of success within the family, setting a standard Serena admired and sought to match. Their bond was built on shared struggle, training, and ambition, yet it evolved into a rivalry that placed them on opposite sides of major championships. When they met on court, each match carried emotional weight far beyond competition. Victory for one meant loss for the other, creating both pride and internal conflict. Despite this, their relationship remained grounded in respect and deep familial connection. Serena often faced the paradox of competing against someone she deeply loved, producing emotional tension that followed even her greatest triumphs. Off-court, they maintained closeness, but professional demands required emotional separation. This duality shaped Serena's understanding of success as intertwined with sacrifice, where personal relationships and ambition could not be separated, and every victory carried emotional complexity of all time. Redefining power and dominance. Serena Williams' dominance in professional tennis redefined what was considered possible in women's sports. Her playing style combined explosive power, precise timing, and unmatched competitive mentality. Opponents entered matches aware they faced not just a skilled player, but an overwhelming force. Her serve became one of tennis's most feared weapons, shifting match dynamics instantly. Beyond physical ability, her mental strength allowed her to recover quickly from setbacks and perform under extreme pressure. She adapted across surfaces, proving versatility and reinforcing her status as a complete athlete. Each victory built a legacy that influenced future generations, while also drawing scrutiny for challenging traditional expectations. Despite this, she maintained consistent excellence at the highest level. Her career became a study in sustained dominance, shaped by preparation, focus, and determination. Her influence extended beyond results, redefining standards for athletic achievement and transforming perceptions of women's tennis. Ultimately, she established a model of performance where strength and intelligence combined to create lasting impact across generations in history. Scrutiny and identity pressure. Throughout her career, Serena Williams faced scrutiny that extended beyond sport into identity and perception. Her emotional expressions were often judged more harshly than those of competitors, reflecting unequal standards in professional tennis. While others could display frustration freely, Serena's reactions were frequently amplified and criticized. This difference highlighted the additional burden she carried as a black woman in a predominantly white sport. Her dominance was admired, yet sometimes viewed with discomfort, creating tension between achievement and perception. Despite this, she refused to conform to limiting expectations, maintaining authenticity in both emotion and performance. These pressures revealed deeper structural issues within sport, where race and gender influence interpretation of behavior. Rather than diminish her, this scrutiny became part of her resilience, strengthening her resolve. Her career thus represented not only athletic excellence, but also broader conversations about fairness, representation, and equality. She transformed criticism into motivation, reshaping narratives about identity and power, while redefining what visibility in sport could mean forever: injuries, recovery, and return. Serena Williams' career included significant injuries and personal challenges that tested her resilience beyond competition. Interruptions due to physical setbacks forced her away from the court, creating uncertainty about recovery and future performance. Yet she repeatedly returned with determination, often regaining elite form after long absences. A major turning point came after life-threatening health complications following childbirth, which reshaped her understanding of strength and survival. Returning to professional tennis after motherhood required immense physical and emotional effort. She balanced elite competition with family responsibilities, redefining expectations of athletes. Her comeback challenged assumptions about age, recovery, and motherhood in sport. Each return was met with admiration and scrutiny, reflecting both her status and the pressure she carried. Despite obstacles, she remained competitive at the highest level, demonstrating extraordinary perseverance. Her ability to return after setbacks reinforced her reputation as an athlete capable of overcoming circumstances that end many careers and redefining limits again, mental pressure and isolation. Behind success, Serena Williams experienced emotional strain shaped by constant pressure and expectation. High-level competition created a mental environment where rest was limited and vulnerability often suppressed. Over time, this contributed to periods of isolation as the demands of sport reduced space for emotional recovery. Expectations from fans, media, and personal ambition created ongoing psychological weight. Even victories required immediate focus on future challenges, leaving little room for reflection. Serena developed the ability to compartmentalize emotions, which supported performance but also created internal distance. The nature of her career demanded continuous adaptation, limiting stillness and emotional pause. Despite this, she built strategies to manage pressure and sustain excellence. Her resilience extended beyond physical ability into psychological endurance shaped by years of scrutiny. This mental strength allowed her to remain at the top level even as emotional demands accumulated, forming a deep foundation of psychological endurance that defined her lasting success story. Life beyond competition and continuing influence. As Serena Williams moved away from professional competition, her presence in sport and culture did not diminish. Instead, it shifted into a different form of influence. Retirement did not mark an absence, but a transition from constant performance to reflection and broader impact. After officially stepping away from competition following the 2022 U.S. Open, Serena Williams entered a phase of life where identity was no longer defined by weekly tournaments or rankings, but by legacy and contribution beyond the court. This transition is often complex for elite athletes, especially those whose lives have been structured around relentless competition from childhood. For Serena, it meant redefining purpose outside the rhythm of training, recovery, and match pressure. She expanded her work in business, mentorship, and advocacy, continuing to influence conversations around gender equity, representation, and opportunity in sports and beyond. Her voice carried the authority of lived experience, making her perspectives especially impactful. While she no longer competed professionally, her influence remained visible in younger generations of athletes who continued to draw inspiration from her standards of discipline and excellence. The shift also allowed a more personal dimension of life to emerge, including family, creativity, and long-term projects that were previously constrained by the demands of elite sport. Yet even in retirement, the intensity of her legacy remains unchanged. Serena's presence continues to shape expectations of what greatness looks like, not only in achievement, but in evolution after success. Her story does not end with retirement. It extends into a broader narrative of transformation where influence continues long after the final match point has been played, reinforcing her status as a defining figure in modern sporting history and global culture. Enduring human strength, Serena Williams' story is one of extraordinary achievement intertwined with profound personal sacrifice, reflecting the dual nature of greatness in professional sport. Her journey illustrates how success is often built not only on talent, but also on resilience forged through adversity, discipline, and relentless pressure. Across decades of competition, she redefined expectations in women's tennis and expanded possibilities for future generations. Yet her legacy is shaped equally by emotional complexity, including identity, scrutiny, and transformation. She navigated physical strain and personal evolution while maintaining elite performance. Her career shows that greatness carries unseen costs, requiring continuous adaptation and sacrifice. Despite challenges, she remained a dominant and influential figure beyond the court. Her impact continues to shape sport, culture, and representation globally. Ultimately, her story stands as a testament to endurance and determination, showing how limitations can become lasting legacy. Her legacy remains a powerful reminder of perseverance, strength, and human potential always enduring.